Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. Thanks for joining us. Some entertaining football, wild weather, Aussies doing us proud, and defending is optional in this round. Lots to cover on the show, so let's get stuck into it. And joining me is my co-host, BIG. G'day, mate. How's your week been?
G'day, yeah, very good. Defending optional, you said. Is that plenty of goals around the league this week? So, yeah, not much defending.
Yeah, I think they put up on the board. If you want to defend, that's a bonus, but there's no, you don't have to. You can all go all out attack. So there was plenty of goals. I think there was 8 in one of the games. There was 5 in one of the other games. So yeah, look, plenty of action, plenty of goals. I don't know if if the defensive coach will be as excited as the attacking coach, but still lots of stuff for us to watch. But mate, you're still on daddy daycare duties. You're still pushing the pram up to daycare and looking after the little one.
Yeah, I am. Couple more weeks to go. So, just enjoying my time off and enjoying the time with the little one.
Mate, it was Giannis's birthday last Thursday, so happy birthday to little G. How did a year pass already? He's already 1 year old. I don't know. Did he skip a few
I
months?
know,
Going on?
I know. I've got no idea. I think he skipped a few months, but yeah, it's been a crazy year, and yeah, can't believe that he's actually won already. So, growing up too fast.
Yeah, super cute, but let's slow it down a little bit. We only need him to be a kid for a long period of time, right? We don't need him being a teenager yet. There's plenty of time for that.
Not just yet, mate. Not just yet.
Mate, I'm back from watching Ed Sheeran in Queensland. He's ridiculously talented and amazing in concert. My favourite song live was Bad Habits, which also reminded me of other people's bad habits who have tried to copy some of what we do, but it's also a compliment to us. So, yeah, in the past, like I said, I know off air, I probably say to you sometimes, I don't know why they're having a crack at us. And you've said, look, it's just a compliment. But yeah, Bad Habits, you can interpret it however you want. And it was amazing to see it live. But yeah, it reminds me of people who go out there and start trying to copy some of the player escape room stuff and that we do. But I suppose, isn't that a feather in our cap if they love what we do and they're trying to do it? Maybe not as good, though.
Imitation is a form of flattery, so we'll just take it as that. And yeah, if we're setting the benchmark, there we go.
Mate, a fun fact for you too. Ed Sheeran not only scores goals, but he also provides assists. He wrote the track Love Yourself, which was a monster hit for Justin Bieber. He wrote it on the back of the bus and gave it to his teammates. So it goes to show he's an excellent team player as well.
Yeah, on the back of a paper towel or something. Is that what he did? Just
Maybe
scribbled it out and
pie wrapper or something. Yeah.
scribbled it out and handed it over. It's like when the coaches give instructions to players when they're going onto the pitch to hand to the captain or the centre back or whatever it is. So yeah, quite nice of him.
Mate, it reminds me of I saw that Andrew Redmayne's kept that water bottle. If you see on the A-League socials, he's kept that water bottle that he threw away that had the Peru goalkeeper's instructions for the penalty shootout. And he said every fibre in his body said, don't do this because it's not the sort of person I am. But he just couldn't help himself, right? And he launched into the crowd and then someone's good enough to hold on to it and give it back to him as a keepsake.
It's a collector's item now, isn't it? I hope he's not drinking out of it though.
Okay. Mate, I know this is not going to make you happy, but it probably makes me happy. Last week's fucked or fiction, the VAR may have finally worked in my favour. One of the questions, we have checked the footage, and I believe that Balotelli going to a bullied fan school is actually fucked. Therefore, the goal is disallowed, and I believe I win 2-1.
Oh, look, I'm not having this. What's going on here? That's
Do we just call it forfeit then? Do we just null and void?
It's the time. There's too much time that's passed. Fans get frustrated when the VAR takes 5-6 minutes. It's been a week. What's going on?
All right, mate. Look, I didn't know if I'd get across the line. I thought it was worth trying, but look, at least it doesn't go down as another loss in another tick in the loss box for me against you. So look, I think next time I just need to be a little bit more careful when we're putting together the questions. But if that's the case, we'll just call it null and void. Unusually, J Mac wasn't on the score sheet this weekend, but he still leads the Golden Boot race to claim his 5th award with 16. His closest rival is Jason Cummings with 14, and he's only 6 goals behind the all-time scoring king, Besart Berisha, who has declared McLaren is worthy of taking his mantle.
Yeah, huge. And like you said, I think Jason Cummings he's slowly creeping up. Another double for him. So
here he comes. He was good. He was good.
Check over your shoulder because he's coming.
Yeah, and I think if anyone knows that he's coming, it's the Perth fans. They decided to give it to him, and he's not backwards and coming forwards. And I think he gave him as much as he was taken in.
Yeah, they saw him coming, and he told him, "I am Jason Cummings."
All right, Brisbane Roar has confirmed they've parted ways with head coach Warren Moon after 3 years in charge. So the response to the question I asked last week is not very long. I asked how long will he still be in charge, and he's not there. He almost done Sydney at Allianz, but I wasn't a fan of his 4-4-1-1. He played Knowles and Milanusic out wide. He played O'Shea up high, as the pundits have been saying he should. Now, I don't know why you'd listen to the pundits, right? It's not your job to listen to other people and be influenced. And look, maybe it was just coincidence, but I remember hearing Andy Harper say, "Oh, you should be playing O'Shea a lot further up the park." Well, this week he goes and plays in behind the striker. So I don't know if he just was just out of his depth now. And there was no start for Robbie Cruz, Aramiento, who I think's been brilliant for them so far this season, or Henry Hoare, and import Canardi, who you put in our on the ball a few weeks ago. He didn't even get to step on the pitch.
He hasn't been seen, has he? Not that I was so excited about him, but whenever you get a new player to the league, you want to see him on the pitch as soon as possible. So a little bit frustrating. But yeah, like you said with Warren Moon, maybe he just ran out of ideas and potentially lost the dressing shed as well. Things haven't been too good for him the last month or so, or since they came back after the Christmas break. So a little disappointing. But yeah, I think it's like I said, I think it's time for Brisbane to move on and bring someone else in.
Yeah, look, I think he's done a good job. It's been a real tough, testing time for him this year with, losing his star striker and a World Cup break and all this sort of stuff. But I'm pretty sure he'll land with a good job in an NPL or another sort of role, a youth role or something. So we wish him all the best. It's nice to see players in the A-League having some fun. And also, considering I call you VIG because you're so well dressed with all your fancy shoes and clothes, Valon Barisha's love of shoes caused a teammate for Secret Santa to give him a cheap pair of white sneakers with his initials and Louis Vuitton drawn on the back with black marker. These are the stories we push to hear on the show to show the human side of the players, and we absolutely love them.
We do, yeah. I did see his wardrobe with his shoes stacked up in there. Very impressive selection he's got. So. But I suppose when you're earning the big bucks and playing in Europe, it's easy to build up a collection like that. So he's a well-dressed man and a man of very elegant taste.
Yeah, it was cracking to see how they drew the shoes. It was really creative. So I'm not sure who did it. I'd love to find out if we can, when we get the next City player on, if we can find out who it was that actually did the Secret Santa and hand drawn those shoes. It was absolute genius. But it's a secret for now. But hopefully we'll find out in the coming weeks. Aussies abroad enjoyed more success this week. Riley McGree scoring his 6th of the season, helping Middlesbrough to a 5th straight win, which is very impressive. Ryan Strain's corner set up St Mirren's winner against Ross County. In Germany, it was the Socceroo again, this time Jackson Irvine with a goal in St. Pauli's 2-1 win over FC Magdeburg. Mitch Landerak kept a clean sheet in Nagoya Grampus's opening day win over Yokohama FC, not to be confused with Kevin Muscat's Yokohama. And young keeper Nicholas Bilakapic went one better with an assist in Huddersfield's 2-1 win over Birmingham. But not everyone's game went to plan, as Dundee United's Mark Birighetti's goal line error not only gifted his opponent St Johnson a victory, but he was also replaced with an injury. So that was a bit of a double whammy.
Yeah, it was. I saw the footage for that. He's played a short ball out. The centre midfielder or centre backs played it back to him, and he's got to clear that first time. He's taken a touch and he's tackled and the ball's gone in the back of the net. And to top it off, he's picked up an injury all in the one play. So he was replaced. But I think you mentioned there young goalkeeper Bilakapic. I think he is playing at Huddersfield. He's having a tremendous season, playing in the championship week in, week out. Lovely assist for him as well. He's knocked a long ball about 70, 80 yards, and Huddersfield players run onto it and finished it. So. He's definitely one to look out for, and we've been talking about Joe Gauci potentially getting a call up to the next Socceroo squad. I wouldn't be surprised if this young lad is also there.
Yeah, exciting to see both. There's plenty of young keepers around, but I think the Socceroos will be scratching their head as well as we did at the World Cup, saying why didn't we take Mitch Langerak with the form that he's been in and made himself available again. Moving on to the Matildas, their World Cup preparations are going very nicely, following up Thursday's 4-0 thumping of the Czech Republic with an excellent 3-2 win over highly rated Spain, and not needing needing superstar Sam Kerr to score was another huge tick for the performance.
Yeah, huge win. I said, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying that Spain would be the biggest test for them in these 3 games that they're playing, and to play at home, to go out, score 3 goals, like they were 3-0 up at half time, controlling the game. Spain didn't score till late on their 2 goals, so good to see. Good to see Caitlin Ford on the score sheet, Courtney Vine and Claire Polkinghorn as well at the back. So, like you said, no Sam Kerr on the score sheet, and you still scored 3 goals and you've won the game 3-2. So, only a positive. And these players, you've got to build that winning mentality. And we've been saying that all along with Gustafsson. He's got to start to build that winning culture, and they're starting to do that now. I think they picked up a 4-0 win against the Czech Republic. 3-2 against Spain. They need to continue this on, build a winning culture, and continue this on into the World Cup later this year.
Let's hope that Big Tony's timing his run perfectly. He hasn't set the world on fire with the Matildas so far in his reign, but if he peaks at the right time and gets us into a semi-final or a final of a World Cup, all will be forgiven and he will be the new king. So, PL news. So City beat Arsenal midweek to jump the Gunners into first spot, but a few days later, 2 stoppage time goals gave Arteta's team a thrilling 4-2 win over Aston Villa, while City had to settle for a draw at Forest. So Arsenal are back on top. Another masterclass from Rashford takes United only 3 points behind rival City in second, and Newcastle's loss allows Spurs, after their 2-0 London derby defeat of West Ham, to leapfrog them into fourth. The Geordies, however, do have a game in hand. 2 wins in 3 games have Everton out of the drop zone for the first time in forever. And James Ward-Prowse's free kick separated the teams and gave Southampton an important away win against Chelsea. It was his 17th direct free kick goal, leaving him only 1 behind all-time leader, Sir David Beckham.
Yeah, wow, that's when you put it like that, that's a amazing feat, I think. But he's a dead ball specialist, isn't he, Ward-Prowse? He's anywhere in and around the box. He's dangerous, and even from a little bit deeper back, delivering crosses into the box. So he's got a wand of a right foot on him. But yeah, like you said, look, Arsenal got away with one. Got away with one late after a quick turnaround. They played an early game on Saturday night, I think it was our time. So they go back top of the table, 2 points clear with the game in hand over City, who dropped points against Forest, and that's pretty much unheard of for Man City. And then United, slowly creeping up behind. I think they're still 3 points behind City, same amount of games played, but Rashford is just on fire at the moment. He's borderline unplayable, and what Ten Hag has done to him and that team as well. I think a lot of credit as well has to go to the winter signing of Wyatt Weghorst, because his work rate, his movement off the ball, I think it allows the wingers and the players in behind him to create or get into space. That he creates a lot of space for those players to get into and score goals. So it's all looking pretty good for United at the moment. But can Arsenal hold on at the top now? They've got a game in hand and they can go 5 points clear again. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks.
Well, the heat is on, and they did slip up, as we were saying, after a couple of games where they dropped points, but they've recovered really quickly, thanks to other teams dropping points. So the heat is on. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. And look, it's only a matter of time, probably the next transfer window, before Ward-Prowse maybe looks at a big six or a team higher than Southampton, no disrespect. Talking English football quickly, Callum Gribble was said to be the best talent Manchester United has since Ryan Giggs. He was at the club from 2008 to 2019, but now the 24-year-old is playing for FC United of Manchester in the 7th tier of English football. Said to have a poor attitude to training, the talented youngster has found out the hard way how your chance can be there 1 minute and gone the next. Let's see what happens. How do you go from being the next Ryan Giggs to be playing for FC United of Manchester?
Oh, I've got no idea, but it has happened before. He's not the first player that's been a talented youth team player, and I think I remember from back in the 2010 when I was over in the UK, the captain of the Liverpool reserves team, Stephen Irwin, they were saying this bloke's the next Steven Gerrard. He's unbelievable. He's going to play 400 games for the Liverpool first team, and in the space of 2-3 years, he was playing 5th division somewhere in Estonia or something. So it's happened before, and like you said, sometimes players with a poor attitude, or players that let themselves get too far ahead of themselves, can all come crashing down. So it does pay to keep a level head and get your head down and work hard and let the football do the talking on the pitch, and keep humble off the pitch.
It's a huge lesson for those youngsters out there who have dreams of playing at a high level or any level. You got to put in the work and you got to have the right attitude. And I remember there's a quote from Nicky Butt, who was the youth team coach at the time there, that said to him, mate, when he left and went out and transferred thinking I'm too good for United, he said, mate, you'll either come back here, we'll end up re-signing you for $100 million, or you'll be working at McDonald's. So I think at the moment, Nicky Butt was on the money with he'll be working at McDonald's. But look, we wish the kid all the best. Our special guest is Mr. 360-kilometre man, running machine, and absolute legend, Macarthur Bulls physio Brendan Wyatt, joins us for a chat to tell us about his selfless deed he's undertaking, as well as we have a little fun with our six-a-side game. There's no Women's A-League wrap this week, as there were no fixtures due to the Matildas playing in the Cup of Nations, which we're doing bloody well in. So we're fine with that. Revolutionised roundup of the men's weekend action. And is there anything I didn't see, BIG?
No, look, I think you've pretty much summed everything up, haven't you? You're across the board. You even managed to fit in a few football games in the midst of an Ed Sheeran concert and travelling up to the Gold Coast, so up to Brisbane. So happy days for you. You're flying, mate.
Mate, I'm doing okay. But my weekly wrap has been replaced by shout out, dedicating a weekly song to a team or a player for their good or bad performance. This week's shout out goes to Adelaide United's captain and main man, Craig Goodwin, and not for his 2 assists in the 8-goal thriller with the Wanderers. Surely his performances this season warrant a mention, but for sticking around after a warm, tiring game to spend time with the fans and sign autographs, and the autographs is just goes to show how fantastic a person he is. So the song we send to you is Unsecret's super cool track, Born to be Champions.
We were born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
Absolutely top-notch, mate, and this is why you're so classy on and off the pitch. And we just, from an A-League fans' point of view and A-League hosts, thank you very much. If we had more players like you in the league, we'd be having a league that everyone just loves every week, week in, week out, and with players that we just connect with. So to you, mate, congratulations on the shout-out. Unsecret, super cool, born to be champions, and we can't wait to see more of you this season.
Yeah, hats off to him for sticking around, but he's got to work a bit smarter than harder, I think, after a full 90 in the heat. Did he not see Tsitsipas at the Australian Open? So he's signed all these cards, and as he's walking off the court, he's just handing the cards out one by one to the fans. So he should have prepped himself. He should have signed some posters and then had them all stacked up there, and then he could have just gone around the pitch and just started handing them out, and he would have been out of there in 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. But I
love that. He's too honest.
Good on him for sticking around. He's a top bloke, and he had a great World Cup, and he's been terrific in the A-League. So goes to show, he's a bit of a cult hero down in Adelaide.
A quick look at the A-League men's table. Melbourne City are on 34 with an extra game in hand. It's starting to get pretty congested. Central Coast, second, 27. Adelaide United on third, 27. Wanderers in fourth on 25. Wellington, a further point back on 24. And Sydney also on 24, rounding out the top 6. As I said, it's very congested with only 5 points separating fourth to ninth. The Phoenix is the only top 6 side to have taken all 3 points on the weekend. And the Jets win has them knocking on the finals door, only outside on goal difference. So lots to play for in the coming weeks. And it's starting to get really, really, like I said, tight, and anything can happen. So let's get into our revolutionised roundup. We select a match of the day each, as well as mini review the other 4 games. We tell you in the main game, the score, the goal scorers, the players of the game, the turning point, as well as what Coach Gio or VIG would have done to have changed that game. So let's get stuck into it. There's plenty to cover. So the first game was Friday night's Western United versus Wellington Phoenix. The game finished 3-0 to the away team, Wellington Phoenix. And Wellington's imports are way too hot to handle for last year's champions, Western United and Tassie, as Sass, Cray Evans, Zawada all score in a solid 3-0 win. I saw a quote that Ulfak Tale said 4 years ago that football is about recruitment. 70% goes to recruitment and the other 30% is motivational and the tactical side of things. I think he's onto something. It's pretty accurate, isn't it?
Judging by what they're doing over at Wellington, I think he is. He's brought in the right players, and they're flying at the moment. Krayev, Zawada, Suss, and you got Bawley there that they brought in a couple of years ago. So lots of leaders in that team and players that are stepping up in the right moments, and also helping out the younger players that are sort of fit in between them. So they're flying at the moment, and recruitment is if I say it's 75%. It might even be more. honestly, because you bring in the right people, you have the right culture at a club. I think Sydney FC had this same philosophy for many years when they were at the top of the league, and I'm sure Melbourne City have the same philosophy as well of bringing in the right players and the right people, and really building a strong club culture, because it goes a long way.
Yeah, Wellington are winning games and they're looking really, really good on the pitch, and they're enjoyable to watch. So not much more you can ask of them at the moment. So moving on to the first of the 4 Saturday games, it was Perth Glory at home to the Central Coast Mariners. Tell us about this one, VIG.
We're going back. We're going backwards. Perth was the last game. It's all right. Let's get into it.
I might have got them in the wrong order, mate, with the
That's
travel
all right.
here, and I might have got into bad habits myself. So
That's all right. We'll start off with Perth. It was the one that got away for Perth for me. They were 2-0 up after Samil Khalifi he scored a brilliant free kick and then got a penalty just after half time. 2-0 up with almost 40 to go, and you're thinking Perth's going to cruise. They're at home. They've got a tremendous record at home. I think they've only lost once to Melbourne City. And then cometh the man, Cummins the hour, hey? Jason Cummins pops up with 2 penalties to get Central Coast back in the game. Soft penalties as well, like a handball and a little...
Alan Christian, Theo Harris, yep.
Yeah, foul on Theo Harris, who he looks sharp when he gets in and around the box. Yeah, when he gets in around the box, he's got some really good footwork, and he's going to be troubling for a lot of defenders in the league. So he draws a foul there, and Cummins steps up and converts. So 2-2, maybe a fair result in the end. But if you're Perth Glory and you're 2-0 up, it's the one that got away for me.
The Mariners seemed to get out of the blocks slow. Kickoff was delayed by 30 minutes, I think, due to broadcasting as a result of the weather delay at Campbelltown Stadium. Do you think that, as I was saying, it's 10 o'clock over there, Sydney time, so you're already 10 o'clock at night, which is not your usual playing time. Then it gets moved out to 10:30. Do you think that affected how they came out the block so slow, the Mariners?
Yeah, potentially. Look, it's a long way to travel. We know that your body's got to adjust to the time zones depending on when you arrive. I don't know if they travelled the same day or if they, got there the night before. It's difficult, and maybe the Mariners, the players were just feeling that a little bit. So slow out of the blocks, but take nothing away from Perth. They've been great at home. There was a tremendous free kick from Khalifi to go 1-0 up. We spoke about Ward Prowse before, but that was Ward Prowse-esque. It was a lovely free kick.
Moving on to the Saturday games, they might be in the wrong order, but as I said, I apologise. It's been a long weekend. But Sydney FC versus Brisbane Roar. The final score was 1-1. Alex Parson was in the right place at the wrong time for his former employers, as the former Roar young gun equalised late for his new team, Sydney FC. And it turns out he has ended his previous coach, Warren Moon's time in charge of Brisbane. Coincidence or not?
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, it was, to be honest, I don't think Sydney deserved much out of this game. They did fight hard till the end, but Brisbane will be kicking themselves, and Warren Moon will be bitterly disappointed that they didn't get the 3 points, because in the end it's probably cost him his job. Yeah, at least for another week anyway.
Yeah, like I said, he might have been able to tread a bit of water, but goes to show how the world works in funny ways, right? An ex-charger of his, one of the young guys that he did allow to leave to go to Sydney, is the one that scores the goal. But if you get 3 points, it's hard to sack a coach. But when you have a 1-1 draw, and he was in the position of getting 3 points until about 2 minutes before full time. So it's all about seconds, inches, and everything. So unlucky for him. But moving on to the third of the Saturday games was Macarthur Bulls at home against the Newcastle Jets. As we said, the weather played a bit of havoc here in Sydney, as it did across all of Sydney. And it was also a huge game because of the fact that both teams were sitting just outside of the top 6 and both trying to chase down the pack in front. What happened here, VIG?
Yeah, it was a huge game. It was a bit of a 6-pointer, but just an unfortunate night out at Campbelltown Stadium on Saturday evening. I think it was one of the hottest days in Sydney for years, which ended in a wicked thunderstorm that postponed several football matches across the city, not just in the A-League with this match, but also across NPL fixtures. There was a bunch of them that were abandoned in the end. So the game was stopped due to thunder and lightning in the 44th minute with Newcastle 1-0 up, thanks to a Trent Bahagia goal in the 8th minute. Both teams, they had to sit around and wait for half hour, 40 minutes by the time they got back out there. They returned to see out the second half, which was bizarre, and then they had to complete the match with the score staying as is until full time. So it was a bit of a frustrating night for both teams. But if you're Newcastle, I think you take 3 points, you move on. Very difficult when, stop-start matches are, you don't know what's going on. Players are waiting around in the change room. They're getting cold. Not good for old bodies either. So, sort of not much happened in the second half there. Newcastle get away with a 1-0 win. They take that and then go back up the coast, and I think they're pretty happy with it. But for me, there was one glaring omission from the squads. Daniel Arzani. He was named in the extended squad, but not on the team sheet for Mile Stojovski's side after starting the last 3 matches. So I don't know what's happening there. He did get subbed at halftime in his last match. So I don't know if there's more to that story, but seems a bit bizarre that he started the last 3 games and then wasn't in the squad at all.
Yeah, look, I'll add to that. Bulls assistant Jacob Burns was quoted as saying, but the playing part of what you do with the ball is only one part. That's confusing to me on a number of levels. A, I don't know what he was actually trying to say. B, Daniel Arzani adds something to your team. So if it's an issue with his attitude, great. Okay, as we saw with this Callum Gribble, you can be an excellent next big thing. And if your attitude's not right, well, you're no use to anybody. But if it's the attitude, great, let's get on with it and let's fix it and try and help the kid to achieve his talent. But if it's to do with because he's good with the ball, but he's not good without it, what, we want to turn into NFL? We'll put an attacking team on a defending team? I don't know. I didn't know what Jacob Burns was saying. I know he's only been assistant there for a few weeks and maybe he just got thrown a couple of lines and he didn't know what he was saying, but it just sounded like it wasn't prepared very well and it just sounded like a pretty poor excuse. But the other thing I was going to say to you is, and being a defender, this will probably be killing you, but I think it was Aspro that tried to clear the ball. He's kicked it across the goal. If he just turned and kicked it the other way, it goes out for a throw-in. Who taught him to kick a ball across the goals, especially when, there's attackers coming through? I was just sitting there shaking my head thinking, what am I watching here? Like this is basics. This is like when you go to start doing the basic things at preschool and primary school and that as a kid. Like these are the first things you learn in football. Don't kick the ball across your goal mouth.
Yeah, look, I'm all for playing out from the back and defenders getting on the ball and playing passes into midfield and, starting the play. But sometimes in football, sometimes you can't always do that. Sometimes you have to just have your wits about you and, you have to knock one long or put one out for a throw-in and reset and gather yourself and get the team back in. So, when I saw that, you're thinking, why on earth has he done that? But I don't know, coaches are drilling into, especially centre backs. You must get the ball and you must play every single time. So I don't know if he's just a victim of that and the way that they want to play. But for me, sometimes you have to just you have to get rid of it sometimes and set yourself back up and reset.
Touch finder, just kick it into the 50th row and they'd still have been at 0-0 and who knows, might have been a chance of pinching all 3 points, but it's not meant to be. The last of the Saturday games was the Melbourne Derby with first versus last. Melbourne Victory hosting Melbourne City. The last time they played, the game was abandoned. So we just were hoping here, no matter what the result, that the game went ahead and that we didn't have any more problems. And Melbourne Victory ran out 3-2 winners. So last beating first goes to show that on any given day you can be a hero or a zero in the A-League. The goal scorers were Damien De Silva in the 7th, Matt Leckie for equalising for City in the 24th, Bruno Fornaroli giving Victory the lead in the 46th, Skipper Brillante extending the lead to 3-1 in the 77th, and then Matt Leckie again in the 80th. For me, the player of the match, and this goes back to Ufak Talay saying recruitment, was Frenchman Daniel De Silva, who is a fantastic signing for the league and for Melbourne Victory. He scored the opening goal, his first in Australia, with a strong header, which gave his team a lot of confidence. And he also defended very well to keep the likes of McLaren, Tilio and Van der Veen relatively quiet. So I know you've had a lot of experience with French football, with Alex playing over there, as well as you watch a lot of French football. Do you like what you see with him, BIG?
Yeah, look, he's a player that's played at a big club for a number of years now, and he's played in the top flight in France. But yeah, he looks like a leader. He's a big, imposing lad, and he's got bundles of experience. So I think that's what Victory needed. And while watching that game, if you hadn't looked at the league table, you watch that game, you'd be thinking these two teams are first and second, or they're both in the top four or top six. So it was a good quality match. And De Silva's header, that's a tremendous header. Like that's technique as well as power and timing as well, to be able to jump up and score a header like that. So we've seen his qualities so far, and hopefully that continues for the rest of the season, especially for Melbourne Victory.
The turning point for me was the teams went into the halftime locked at 1-1, and Victory caught them still in the sheds with Fornaroli giving him a lead only a minute after the break, which gave his team a huge boost, and I think gave him the confidence to continue on the good start. So obviously they were good in the first half, but you go in at 1-1, so it's a bit disappointing. But taking a lead so soon into the second half just gave the team the energy and the lift that they needed. So that was the turning point. And what would I have done to change the game? I think Victory was up for the fight, but I would have started Beron Berisha in the midfield, maybe at the expense of Berengay, just in a derby. And I know Berengay is a great player, but he's been out a lot this season, and I think Berisha is just a different type of player, or even in a different formation. But I also would have given the more physical Naboo more than 13 minutes. I think he would have asked a different question of the Victory defence. So Tilio was quite ineffective, and he's a great, skillful young player, but it was a pretty physical game. Throw in a big lad like Naboo. Now, okay, he might not be in as good a form, and he might not, be going as well as what Tilio is, but Tilio played. It didn't work. I would have given him at least 25 minutes to go out there and see what he could have done. So that's what I would have done to try and give the league leaders a chance of winning the game, but it wasn't to be, and Victory with a well-deserved 3-2 win. Moving on.
Huge win for Victory.
Yeah, it was a massive win, and I said this a couple of weeks ago too. Does that kickstart their season? At least whether they don't get into a final spot, at least put them in a lot more wins next to their name and a lot better position at the end of the season. But the next couple of weeks will tell. And the last game was Adelaide United versus Western Sydney Wanderers, their only Sunday game, and it didn't need any other games. What happened here?
It didn't. It was an absolute shootout down at Cooper Stadium in Adelaide. Finished 4-4. Goals to Ibasuki to kick it off. Borello to make it 1-1 with an absolute weapon of a shot. Popovic to go 2-1 up Adelaide. Borello 2-2 to get his second. And then the Wanderers go 3-2 up through Neuenhof. But we talk about this. You score a goal, the next 5 minutes is crucial, and they've let Adelaide straight back in. Ibasuki scores to make it 3-3, and then Kiddo makes it 4-3 to Adelaide. So it's just an absolute seesawing affair. And then the new man Leuni comes on and scores an absolute worldie as well. So great, some lovely footwork for him, and makes it 4-4 in the end, which was probably a fair result. I don't think either team probably deserved to lose this one, but it was a crazy sort of seesawing match, and plenty of goals, and like you said, defending optional.
Entertaining game with 8 goals. It was excellent attacking game, very enjoyable for the fans. But can the defence win either team a title? When you concede 4 goals, I know there was some cracking goals there. Can Adelaide United or Western both? Does that get you into a final series if you're conceding 4 goals in a game and go, look, in a tight game, we're well prepared?
Yeah, look, it might get you into the finals, but whether it's going to win you a finals match, like you said, defence wins championships. So conceding for Adelaide, it's a bit worrying, conceding 4 goals at home, but and the same for the Wanderers. Like when you go away from home and you score 4 goals, you should expect to win that football match. So maybe there's a few more questions than answers for both coaches, I guess. So they'll be working hard this week to sort of rectify their defence, but on an attacking note, it's a positive scoring 4 goals in a football match. So my player of the match was Brandon Borello. He scored 2 great goals. The first one was absolute worldie, but also Ibasuki was great as well. He broke a 10-game goal drought with a double. The turning point for me was the Adelaide disallowed goal just before half time. So Zach Clough was judged to be offside, and I think if that goes in, you go into the sheds with a bit of a different frame of mind, and maybe the momentum shifted a little bit. So that was probably the turning point for me. And then obviously Adama Traore got sent off later on in the game as well. So a bit of ebb and flow in this one. What would I have changed? Look, I think not much, to be honest. I think both teams, they both went at it to try and win the football match. But potentially, when the Wanderers go 3-2 up away from home, and you've got to tighten up that next 5 minutes, 10 minutes after you go 3-2 up. You can't concede, and they've conceded, I think, 3 or 4 minutes after they scored, and Adelaide brought it back to 3-3. So I don't know if it's a change in personnel or change in system, or you've got to get a message out to the players to say, come on, this next 10 minutes is crucial in helping us win this football game. So in saying that, I think Rudes has been listening to the show a bit, because he did start Schneiderlin in a 4-man midfield with Amalfitano, Neuenhoff, and Bozanic. So you've got you've got 4 centre midfielders there pretty much, and he's played 2 up top who probably drifted out a bit wide. So with Yangi, who started the match, but he came off at half time. So yeah, maybe Rudes has been listening to the lads.
And if he has, he could be listening to a lot worse football pundits than you, VIG. So look, another cracking round. After the break, we welcome our special guest, Macarthur Bulls, Brendan Wyatt. Speak to you then.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Joining us now is a special guest. Usually, as you know, we chat with players, but this man works his magic on the players every week to ensure they're ready to take the field again. This legend is also doing something incredible during the coming weeks. I won't ruin the story, but rather allow him to tell us who he is and what he's attempting to do, as well as other things in his own words. So without further ado, g'day, Brendan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Gio. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honour to be here.
Mate, the pleasure's all mine. But, mate, let's set the scene first. So, the heartbreaking scene is in May last year, A-League superstar Ulises Dávila's wife, Lily Pacheco, tragically passed away. Absolutely devastating news, not only for Yuli's family and the football community and Macarthur Bulls and so on, but it also left himself without a wife and his 2-year-old son Yuli Jr. without their loving mother. So I've said this multiple times on the show. I'm amazed and I have an unbelievable respect for the courage Yuli's shown. The example he's setting for his son just blows me away. But mate, can you tell us a little bit first? How do you know Yuli and Lily?
So I first met Uli when I came on board as a physio back at Wellington Phoenix. I was there for 2 seasons working alongside Uli, both in Wellington and obviously when we had to relocate over to Parramatta and Wollongong due to COVID. So I spent a lot of time with Uli and through Uli obviously met Lily and their little boy Uli Jr. Incredible guy, always pleasurable to be around the changing room, always bright, positive, vibrant, and I've been lucky enough to get to know him over the past 4 to 5 years, not only through my Wellington days, but now at Macarthur Bulls where I get to work alongside him again.
Mate, so I don't know which way it is. I don't know if he's got a little angel sitting over him or vice versa. But like I said, you're both very, very impressive guys who, like I said, I've got a lot of time for. Mate, what was your role at the club at both the Phoenix as well as now at the Bulls?
So I came on board at Wellington as one of the physios. So I was working as the assistant physio back at the Wellington Phoenix men's team, transitioned over to the Wellington Phoenix women's team, ironically, as the inaugural head physio, and then took a little break away from football. And ironically, it was actually Uli himself who kind of put in a few good words for me at Macarthur when they were in need of a follow-up physio. And was happy to jump on board and get back into the professional football scene.
Mate, so it's not surprising then that you've inspirationally decided to raise money. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about what you're trying to achieve here. Like I said, I'm feeling tired just looking at what you're going to attempt. But like I said, I know you're hard into training, and from all reports, you're a beast out in the tracks. So mate, tell us what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so as you know, Gio, obviously Lily tragically passed away from something that's referred to as Arteriovenous Malformation, or otherwise known as AVM. And essentially it's a bit of an abnormal tangle of blood vessels between the arteries and veins, and it can lead to a few complications in the ways of aneurysms, brain bleeds, obstruction of blood flow, things like that. And obviously my goal now through Uli and in memory of Lily is to to raise as much money and awareness around AVM, but also other brain conditions. And so essentially what I'm doing is I've decided to take up the arduous task of running 160 kilometers in a day.
Was there any shorter races? There must have been some shorter races. No, is that?
Oh, look. I mean, moving over to Wollongong over here, it's beautiful weather, beautiful coastline. So I've run a few runs, half marathons, done a few fundraisers in the past, but nothing quite like this. And yeah, hoping to try and make it the biggest and best one yet.
So, mate, it's for the listeners, 160 Ks is 100 miles. So you're attempting to run that in under 19 hours. So there was a time set of 19 hours by Dave Goggin. Who is he? And how's training coming along for you?
Oh, if you don't know David Goggins, I think you already need to have a look at yourself. He's an absolute legend in terms of the kind of mental welfare game. He's a legend in terms of fundraising, and he's just an absolute beast. So he's an ex US Navy SEAL. He's now an inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, if you will, and he's just an all around badass. So he's run more than 100K. He's run more than 100 miles. He's done something like a 240K race in the past. But he set the time of 19 hours and 6 minutes at an event called the San Diego One Day. And he's always been a role model and kind of an inspiration of mine. And decided to try and challenge myself and see if I could beat him.
Mate, looking at, like I said, the shape you're in, as well as some of the training you're doing at the moment, mate, I'm going to have a couple of dollars on the side just on you, mate. I reckon there's a good chance you can break this 19 hours and 6 seconds. But so firstly, mate, you're starting off, I believe, with the Orange Marathon on the 5th of March, which you're attempting to run in 3 hours.
Yes, yeah. So as part of the training, obviously the distances are slowly ramping up. And I thought it would be a good way to kind of test myself to see where I'm at that present point in time, but also give myself a bit of a fun event to look forward to rather than just dragging myself out on the weekends and slogging away by myself. So looking forward to that one there, and I'll give it a good crack to see if I can chip away and get under 3 hours.
Mate, we both share the same love of the Dávila family as well as the great cause, but we don't share the same interpretation of the word fun. You're going for a 3 hour run for fun. we don't share that. I think for me that's tough. But considering what he's been through and the family's been through, this is nothing compared to that. But that warms you up first, gives you a bit of a warm up for this April 1st run, which is the 160 kilometres. Can you tell us where that starts and where that finishes?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 160K, I'll start up in Avalon Beach and finish down here in Stewart Park in Wollongong. I'm an adopted Wollongong boy. Moved over here due to COVID with the Wellington Phoenix and loved it. Decided to stay. And obviously, after running 160K, I'd like to have as short a walk as possible to get back home. So
okay.
It was essentially map 160 upwards and go from there.
All right. So tell us, mate, the training, obviously there's a lot of physical training, but there's a lot of mental involved in this as well. Like I said, you can be as fit as you want to be, but your biggest instrument is your brain, right? And being ready mentally for this. So how are you preparing mentally, and how are you also preparing physically?
Yeah, like you say, Joe, I think the physical part's ironically the easiest. Training's been going well so far, a mixture of obviously some long days on the road, but also trying to keep some strength up, trying to keep some body weight on, getting into the gym, stretching, rolling, sauna, ice baths, trying to utilize the facilities and the scientific background that I've got, and then just coupling that with some Ks on feet and just spending some time getting some load in the legs. Mentally, that's a whole different ball game. Looking up to guys like David Goggins, and obviously if you're an Australian, you'll know the name Ned Brockman, guy who ran from Perth to Bondi in 46 days. So when you've got guys like that who are completing feats like they are, it's pretty easy to just push away the excuses and realize that there's other people out there putting some effort in for good causes. So yeah, that's where I'm at mentally, and it's not easy. There's some days where you wake up, drag yourself out of bed, and mentally you've got a big long day ahead. But with that being said, I don't think it compares to anything that Uli's been through personally. And when you look at the strength the resilience, the grit, the determination that he's got day in, day out. I mean, you just can't fault him personally. And through that, I have no excuses. I've got to get it done, and it's for an amazing cause.
Mate, like I said, I think you both share a huge heart. Him obviously going through what he does, and still, as I've said on the show numerous times, I'd find it hard to even put my boots on, let alone go out on the pitch, put in for your team, and still be so approachable to the fans and teammates and everything like that. So it just goes to show, how mentally strong he is after, what he's been through. But for you, mate, like I said, there's a lot of people in this life, and I've said this to you off air, that will say, yeah, I've got your back, and, they'll send you a text message or something, but you've actually, you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk, or actually running the long run. So mate, super impressed. But mate, who's the charity that all these funds will be helping?
So the charity I'm trying to raise money for is the Brain Foundation Australia. So they're an incredible charity that does amazing work in the realm of not only AVM, but also other brain conditions. The money raised will go directly towards research, prevention, education, and obviously trying to help support those in need and those who have gone through brain conditions or AVM specifically.
Mate, so tell us your reason behind doing this. So, like I said, I know, like a lot of people, this has hit you really, really hard with, obviously knowing the family very well and knowing how amazing they are. But what triggered in you, mate? Whether you woke up one morning or one night, you were going for a cycle or going for a kick at training, and what triggered in you that decided, hey, I'm going to do something about this, and not only am I going to go there and support him in a enormous way, but I'm also going to try and raise some money to try and avoid even one person going through what their families had to go through.
I think that's a very simple yet a very complex discussion. I mean, for me personally, again, knowing Uli, knowing Lily, and knowing the family, I'm in absolute awe of Uli himself and the strength, the determination that he shows day in, day out. Again, I was lucky enough to come on board at Macarthur right around the time of our Australia Cup final, and just seeing the way he steps up day in, day out, the way he turns up at work, parks his personal problems at the door, compartmentalizes, and just continues to drive and lead the team. It's just inspirational to myself. So for me, it was just a case of, if Uli can show that day in, day out, no matter what, I can only imagine the emotions, the trauma, the hardship that he's been through. And if he can continue to show up, be there for others, lead, mentor, drive the team, I think it's only fair that somebody has his back and somebody decides to do the same in return. So that was my motivation behind it. And again, if I can raise awareness and money towards an incredible cause that affected not only Uli personally, but others around the globe and around the country, then I'm more than happy to put my body through the ringer to do it.
You're absolutely a cracking guy. And mate, like I said, if there's any jobs going, I don't care. It could be the garbage man at the Macarthur Bulls. I'm coming down and applying, mate. If I can be around positive people like you, I'm coming down and try and get myself a job down there, because, like I said, the world's full of a lot of negative people. But, mate, there's not a lot out there that, like I said, that are as positive as you and that look at it from the best possible angles. But, mate, how can people get behind you and help?
The easiest way is just through donating. In all honesty, and they can either do that through the Brain Foundation website, in which I've got a fundraiser set up under the name of 160 kilometers for AVM. Otherwise, the easiest way is to get online and donate through the Instagram bio that I have online. I've got posters which I'll be posting around the local companies and local community, as well as posting again online. And there's a simple QR code that people can follow to hopefully throw a few dollars in the way of a good cause.
Most certainly. And like I said, if they can't remember any of that, they're more than welcome to hit us up here at the Football Revolution, and I'm happy to direct you whichever way you want. So look, give it what you can afford. It's an amazing cause, and is an amazing guy running not only 160 kilometres in the second run, but he's also going to be running for 3 hours in the Orange Marathon. So like I said, you'll be either one tired or one very fit boy at the end. But I know it's all about doing what you can to help your family, your good friend, and try and erase some of this horrendous thing that he's been through. But mate, look, that upsets me so much and leaves me so flat. So I'd love to finish off with a six-a-side game that that we play usually with our guests. If I don't laugh, I'll end up crying. So if you're keen for it, I'm ready to have a shot. But look, before we get into that, is there anything else that you'd like to, convey to the listeners? Is there anything I've missed that it would be good information or helpful information for them?
Yeah, look, from my side, I think you've covered most of it, Gio. I think the most important thing that I want to try and get across to people is not only obviously that there's an important cause that funds and awareness is being raised around, but also from my side of things, I'm trying to prove to people that you're capable and that you can push yourself, whether that be mentally, physically, socially. I know a lot of people are going through hardship in one way or another, through COVID, through financial hardship, whether that be brain conditions or any other bodily conditions. And obviously, I know that there is help out there. There is support out there, rally around each other. And I think many hands make light work, and a burden shared is a burden halved.
Yeah, absolute genius, mate. Honestly, I can't tell you how impressed I am by what you're doing. But, mate, if you're ready to go, we played this 6-a-side game. I've got 6 questions for you. It can be either a Phoenix player or a Bulls player because you've been at both those clubs. So if you're ready to roll, I'm going to start firing away.
Yeah, let's rip in. I'm not sure how well I'll go, but we'll give it a whirl.
Mate, you know what? Because he's such a nice guy, no one will be cranky with you anyway, so you can throw whoever you want under the bus here.
All right. I'll give it a go. I'll see if any of the guys give me a message and give me a bit of hard time when I get back.
Send them to me. Who is on the physio table the most?
Oh, that's a good one. There's a few boys who are up there, especially candidates. I'm
happy to have a leading front three.
Well, I'm going to have to go Macarthur Bulls here. Okay. There's a few, and ironically, they all give each other a hard time about being on the physio table the most.
But that's only because you were at Wellington a long time and you got to sort things out. Now you've only been in a short time at the Bulls. That's why they're in this situation, but that won't be the same case next year once you get it sorted.
Oh, yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. In all honesty, I'm going to have to say my good Polish friend, Philip Kurto, he'd be up there.
All right.
The man probably goes through about $20 or $30 worth of strapping tape per day to keep that body together. So he's definitely on the shit list of the management in terms of cost and funding.
Okay.
And then I'm actually going to have to say my good friend Matty Miller.
Okay.
He's been clocking up a few Ks in the old legs and scoring a few goals for us, to be fair. So
he has been scoring a lot of goals. So I think he's fine. I'm able to give him a pass on that because if he just defended like a defender normally does, then maybe he doesn't pick up the injuries, but he's going that extra mile, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's got a bit of a nosebleed up top at the moment and doing a bit of altitude training. So long as he keeps banging in some goals, I'm quite happy with him. But funnily enough, he's got a bet with me for every goal he scores. That's an extra kilometre I've got to run. Okay. So fingers crossed the goals keep coming.
Yeah, we're hoping you run a bit for 180 Ks or something.
Hey, if he keeps scoring goals for the club, I'm happy.
All right. So there's no one to even challenge those two from the Phoenix. The Phoenix are good.
No, Phoenix was actually relatively diverse. A few boys would come through, but it was a good little rotation there. Obviously, you have your little niggles and you have your injuries in which you spend a lot of time with players. But in terms of regulars day to day, I'd have to say the Macarthur boys are up there. All right.
Who trains the hardest? Whether it be the pitch, the gym, whatever they're doing, or it could even be rehab. It could be even recovery. Who when goes in there, just know is just another level.
It's between two. I'm going to have to say Danny De Silva. Okay. He's an absolute workhorse, just consummate professional in the gym, on the field, on the watt bike, whatever it might be. You can just leave the guy to it and he's just going to give 100% and just do everything by the book. So top guy to work with. And then honestly, I'm going to have to say Uli himself, gives his absolute all, wears his heart on his sleeve, whether that be for the players, for the fans, behind closed doors where nobody's laying an eye on him. And he's a good guy like that, and he's definitely a workhorse for sure.
Yeah, both absolute quality players. Who's the funniest? Who makes you laugh the most?
I'm gonna have to say 2 different categories. Dan Arzani's up there. Arzani's up there. He's just a larrikin.
Yeah, but at the start of the year when he came there, he was whinging about how he can't trust anyone in football and, and this and that. And now you're telling me he's one of the funniest blokes in football. All right, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Nah, definitely not. No, Azani's always got some witty one-liners, a bit of banter. Always lights up the room with his humour. But then the other characters who are good value are the Crows, which is Ivan Wyatt and Tommy Uskok. Always got some good philosophical discussions going on. There's always a little bit of a word of the day or topic of the day in the physio room there, and just always makes work interesting. You don't know what you're going to get when you turn up.
Mate, I can't wait for your book. I don't know how many people you're going to offend, but this would be excellent reading. You got, not only do you know your stuff on the pitch, off the pitch, you can tell us what guys have been saying behind the doors. You can tell us mental coach, fitness coach. There's physio. There's everything here, mate. Surely there's a book deal in this.
Oh, look, I'm going to have to keep that one under wraps for now. Hopefully, there's a publisher who's willing to get on board, but I think I've got to just focus on getting through the running first, and then we'll have a chat about that later.
All right, mate. Who's the most competitive?
Most competitive. Look, in all honesty, I'm going to have to go, in terms of competition, day in, day out, Tommy Uskok.
Okay.
He's just competitive, passionate guy, whether it's small-sided games, whether it's Sheva, whether he's getting nutmegged or obviously playing his heart out on the weekends. He's just an all-around top guy, competitive guy. Again, gives his absolute all in training, and he can get feisty if he's on the wrong side of the result. But with that being said, I think it just comes from his passion for the game and just wanting the club to do well.
How do the players take that? So do the players love that, or is it annoying because you've got somebody who just wants to always win at all costs, right? So every ball that's half out, half in, any handballs, that you got this guy who's reffing because he's so desperate to make sure that he's on the winning team. So is it well taken by the players, or has it become like the little brother, a bit annoying?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But with that being said, I think it just comes down to standards, and all of the boys love to drive the standards and keep the standards high, and they see the goal and they see the vision moving forward. So from that side of things, I know that the boys can recognise it's coming from the right place. In the moment, perhaps not so much.
All right. Who is the worst after a loss? Who do you stay away from, or who do the boys know stay away from because they're just not someone you want to be around for at least a few days?
Ooh, tricky one. To be fair, I'd say that overall, on the whole, the team's not too bad.
Okay.
Normally, 30 minutes to an hour after the game, we try and keep our heads down in the back room, try and work away with players, and just be professional. Try and avoid too much conversation. But in terms of, I guess, passion, desire, and who's genuinely torn by a loss, I think again, looking at your Uli, especially the way he tries to lead the team and tries to drive the team and kind of what he wants for the team moving forwards. He's normally pretty upset after games, but again, in a good and kind of respectful way. You just leave him alone, let him mull it over in his own time, and to be fair, he's normally back first thing in the morning, again ready to turn up, work hard, and also crack a few Spanish jokes in the meantime.
Okay. How are the Spanish jokes? Are they good, or is it how many of the players actually get can get the jokes? How many guys can understand it, or how does that work?
Oh, with Uli, it's top. He's obviously fluent speaking with the Spanish, but he's got a bit of broken English. So I think part of the humour comes from the fact that he's still developing the English. But to be fair, our head physio Cody, our soft tissue therapist Jun, and a few of the players actually understand the Spanish quite well. So they're normally pretty well received. I'm slowly getting my way through Duolingo at the time. Look, I'm pretty basic, to be fair, but hopefully by the end of the year I'll understand it a little bit more.
Nice. And who would you take to any club you were at? So if you could take any player, so take Uli out of this, and also take out David Ball, because everyone tells me I love David Ball. I love David Ball too, but just leave him out of this category for once. Which player would you take from either club to the next club you went to? So we get you a big gig over in the Premier League. Off you go. See you later, Brendan. And then who would you take?
To be fair, I think in terms of just his professionalism and the fact that you could leave the guy alone and he would chip away with his own rehab, he'd follow the protocols to the T. And obviously he's been over at a big club already. I'd have to say Danny De Silva. Just top guy, likable guy in the changing room, but again, when it comes to putting in work, he's just ready to go. So I'd have to say Danny, to be fair.
All right, so don't worry, Bulls fans. He's not going anywhere at the moment, so you can rest easy. But I will follow this one up. But mate, look, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Good luck with the training. We'll be doing a weekly update on your progress as well as the money raised, so that the listeners and as well as your friends and family can see exactly how we're going, and then we can know how much work we've got to do to get that up to a figure that we think will really make some use to the charity. I'll be at the event to support you and record some memories, hopefully. But mate, if there's anything you need in the meantime, please just let me know. You're an absolute inspiration. I love what you're doing, and I think you're an amazing guy. And mate, I'll definitely be in touch over the coming weeks. And anything I can do to help, please let me know.
No, thank you, Gio. I really appreciate it. And obviously to everybody who's happy to donate or already has donated, again, can't thank you enough for getting behind it. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you up at the start line, and maybe might even get a few Ks in those legs of yours, Gio.
Mate, you will indeed. But mate, once again, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Welcome back to the show. It was great chatting with Brendan. What an amazing gesture and a fantastic person. It's now time for our clinical finish, the end of our show. And first up is our What the Foot. So this one, again, just has me absolutely bamboozled. The suspended first Melbourne derby will resume on April 2nd from the 20th minute with City leading 1-0. I'm with you, Popper. Absolutely ridiculous. You can't freeze time. Just award City a 1-0 or a 3-0 win or play the full game. How can you go in, ask fans to turn up and watch 70 minutes of a football game, or ask players to go out months after and continue on a game at 1-0 down? I just don't get this. I don't know who thought of this, but what the foot? WTF.
Yeah, look, it's a strange one. It's happened before around the world. I've seen it happen before where
it's still nuts.
Games have been
it's nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, because what happens if players are injured, or I don't know. Are you going to have the same? You have to go back with the same 11 that were on the pitch at that time. What if players are injured or they're sick, or something's happened between now and then? Yeah, it's a bit of a bizarre one. And given that it was only 20 minutes into the game, maybe it is easier to just award the points to City, be done with it and move on, or like you said, start the game from scratch again.
Look, punish victory as harsh as it may be for their fans' misbehaviour, right? And say, hey, you've lost the game, bad luck, your fans didn't behave. And you hit them with penalties and fines and everything because you thought it was unacceptable, and you held them accountable, the club accountable, not just the fans, the players, the staff, the club accountable. But now you're saying, oh, yeah, we'll give you a chance to try and get something out of the game. But 70 minutes, what are we going to do? Put the goalposts up and make sure that everyone's standing in the same position. When we say start, they can start in the same position. This is just absolute nuts. Anyway, it's.
I hope they don't do that, because Tom Glover will be starting the game with a sand bucket on his head.
Yeah, I hope not. Games to watch this week. Second place Mariners welcome the fifth place Phoenix. I'll be at that game, so I'm pretty excited to go out there, and it's a great venue and two teams in really good form playing good football. City licking their derby wounds entertain Sydney FC, who are just holding on to a final spot. And Adelaide United travel to Melbourne to face long-time rivals of Victory, who are on a high after their derby win.
Yeah, it looks like to me it's a good weekend to be down in Melbourne. You can catch City and Sydney FC on the Saturday afternoon, and then Victory and Adelaide on the Sunday. So I don't know, you've got your frequent flyers racked up, so maybe you can jet down there for the weekend and catch two football games. So they're probably the two big standouts for me. And like you said, Central Coast Mariners and Wellington on Friday night also is shaping up to be a really good affair.
Yeah, look, I think there's probably a few other decent games around, but that were the three that I really like the look of, and I'll be watching to see how these top six teams are all performing. But let's have a quick look at our TFR fantasy update. So my round 18.
I'd rather not, to be honest.
Okay, we're going to any which way. So my round 18 score was 99, which takes me to a total of 1348. What was your round 18 score, VIG?
Oh, it's embarrassing. It was only 44. I had a few players in minus figures, and I think I had about 4 or 5 in single digits, low single digits. So not a good week.
Not double digits, except mine was a nicer one. So if this was like poker, I've got a pair of 9s and you only got a pair of 4s. So I've got you beaten easily.
it wasn't a good week for me. Yeah,
What's your
I might
total?
have to. I don't know. I might be getting the sack like Warren Moon, or I might have to ring some changes. So I'm a bit worried. I'm going to get an email from A-League Fantasy saying you've been sacked.
Yeah, look, it's
So,
you're on 1270, so I've extended myself to a pretty nice to a pretty nice lead. But look, I was very close to a century, a huge improvement from last week. I didn't make any changes, but the hot was Zawada, who was my captain. He got 15, so he got me 30. Cummings 21, and Neuenhoff 19. But the cold one was Lawrence Thomas, who got me -2. And what the frustrating part is, I had Holmes on the pine, who scored 15. So if I'd had him in, it would have been even a bigger landslide. I need to get the injured Piscopo out. And also Leo Lacroix, Mr. Minus points this season. I need to get rid of him. But one other quick thing. Krayev, who I traded out 2 weeks ago, owes me a beer. The previous 6 games, his total points were 10. Since I axed him in 2 games, he's got 43 points. So while he was in my fantasy team, he was going pretty average. Now I've got rid of him. I've let him fly. I've opened the cage and let him fly. So I think he and the Phoenix owe me a beer or two when I'm up in Mariners country this Friday night when I go to watch them play. But if they missed any part of the show or wanted to listen to other episodes, where can they catch it?
Yeah, they can catch us on all good podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, also up on Football Nation radio platforms. And if they want to see the video, our ugly mugs, up on YouTube.
Mate, I was trying to see if I could work out if I could get us up on the big screens at Ed Sheeran, but I had no luck. He had all those little guitar picks all around, and the set was amazing. I was hoping maybe in between the breaks or in between the sets we could chuck on a bit of footage from the Football Revolution, but I wasn't able to work that out. They needed you there because you're our technical guru. But there's plenty of football to keep us entertained this week, thanks to our special guest, Macarthur Bulls physio running machine, Brendan Wyatt, and we wish him all the best. And we'll put up on the site how they can, well, I think he's already said it, but how they can donate and try and get behind this amazing cause and also his good friend, Ulises Dávila. Please do what you can. Hope you enjoyed the show even half as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. And we look forward to joining us again next Tuesday as we cover another huge week in football. Until then, as we say, rise up and join the Football Revolution. Have a great week. We'll catch you then.